Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the HR Leaders Podcast, the show where we explore the future of work, industry experts, and HR executives in the world's leading global brands. Today, we're joined by Iyas Seidan, who's the Director of People and Culture at JTI. Welcome to the show. How are you, Iyas?
Hello, Chris. I'm good. Thanks. And yourself?
Not too bad. Not too bad. How are you? And give everyone an update. So kind of. It's funny because when we first spoke, I was actually thinking about you as a dad, as a husband. I was like, man, yes, right now. I hope you get home soon. But so can I fill everyone in? How are you first and foremost, and when are we going to get you home?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you, Chris, for that introduction. Actually, now I can't wait to go back to my home country. It's in coming 2 days. On Saturday, my flight will be. Finally, after almost 8 months of being stuck outside the country for COVID-19, it's really interesting experience, I would say.
Yeah, it just made me appreciate having that kind of attitude of gratitude right now.
Thank you.
I'm super happy to hear that you're going to be going home to see the family as well. How's it been for you? Obviously, I don't want to jump in too much into this before we get into stuff, but how have you coped through this, and kind of what have you taken away from this experience?
Well, Chris, it was really challenging, I would say, experience. Emotionally, mentally, professionally, even when COVID-19 pandemic started, I never thought that. I think nobody thought everything will be locked, everything will be closed, etc. So for me, it was challenging, but I found when you have this hope, when you have this, I would say you have to keep the positive mindset. Actually, it's really, really important to keep the positive mindset. I would say meditation helped me a lot. Sports helped me a lot to overcome this challenging time. Also, keeps thinking about positive things. As a dad, I had a newborn child. It's really emotionally, I would say, it was really challenging. It is challenging, actually. He's now 9 months old. Last time I saw him, he was like 1 month. So it's really, really challenging.
So happy that when we connected just before we went live, that you're going to be going home soon. So super excited for you to reunite with the family.
Thank you, Chris.
For all this. That to one side. Thanks for joining us on the show. I'm super excited to jump into today's topic with you. You are one leader that we've spoken to that's worked here across many emerging markets, right? One of the reasons why you're in Sudan right now as well. What was the attraction? Because for many leaders right out there, it's kind of daunting to go and work and do what you do. And obviously today's episode is talking about how do you succeed in an emerging market. So let's kind of start there.
Being in an emerging markets for a long time, it really helps me to grow in my career. And I have this intrinsic motivation, I would say, to grow personally and professionally. My first motive, actually, it's to find new and unique experiences. And these experiences, you cannot find them elsewhere other than emerging markets, actually. Yes, being in developed market, you kind of expect everything that's gonna happen with you. You can plan your year, you can plan everything. But emerging markets, the situation is totally different. You are in highly volatile countries, most of them at least. You will encounter a lot of challenges. So you will grow in terms of your resilience, your problem-solving skills. You meet people, you meet really awesome people, and the people side is really, really important here because you get to know new cultures, new people, new ways of thinking. It really kind of enrich your experience.
What would you wish you would have known when you went into your first assignment? What would you wish you have known then that you know now?
I would have wished to know first the what you have to pay. Personally, personal life. To get
a sacrifice, basically the personal sacrifice.
Yes, sacrifices to get to these experiences. Nevertheless, it's rewarding on the same time on personal level because you get to know with your family as well. If they join you, if the market allows to join you in that journey, with them you will explore new new cultures, you meet people. What I wish to know before that is this is the one that sacrifice that I had to make. And second thing, I wish if I had at least expected what kind of experiences that I will have. At least you go to a country where you don't have any expectations, and this is important, by the way. You don't have high expectations, you don't have low expectations. So you come with zero expectations and build your experience based on it. Because if you go with high expectations, it happened to me once, you can be disappointed, and the other way around. So it's really good to go with zero expectations.
What about from a support framework perspective? Because kind of many leaders that you go out there, you leave your support framework behind. Your friends, family, times when you're stressed, you have that. But then on these international assignments, you're thousands of miles away. Is that something you experienced?
Yes, that's totally true and totally normal. However, here it comes the leadership. The importance of leadership in the organization. First, I want to talk about the company. The leadership there, it's really important to have understanding leadership who understands, okay, these are the challenges that people they face on personal level. They help you actually to build your supporting group within this new organization or within this new country. Also, I would say now when you move from one country to another, and everybody knows, for example, that these countries are not easy to be there, and you need support. People, I found them more. They have more empathy. They are more compassionate. So it's really, I would say, you start building friendship, I would say, across the globe, and it helps you. Actually, it helps you to overcome really challenging times.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's many expat communities and networks and people you can stay close to.
Yes. Actually, it's really helped through many forms, even local communities. I appreciate this. Always, you find local people who understands that you are coming from different country with different expectations, and then they offer the support with no price. They just offer you support, and this is something I found it touching. It touched you.
How do you make people feel kind of safe in that environment that's completely new to them?
There's two sides of it: the local part, the local people, and the expats. When it comes to expats, it's really important the onboarding process is really, really important, because when they first join or when they first arrive, you have to first to brief them and give them some sort of guidelines, what their life is going to be, I would say in general. The basic rules, what to do, what not to do, what kind of challenges you may face, and what to do in order to overcome that, or in order to solve this issue. This is the very first step, and then you start build the supporting network for them. You start to help them to emerge in that new set, and to help them, to work closely with them at the beginning, and then to offer support to the family as well. For example, I will give you an example. In JTI, we have programs for family to know the new country. Whether, for example, cooking classes could help, or language classes could help, and this kind of stuff. So they start normalizing their life accordingly. Chris, also one of the things that sometimes companies they miss is that they don't look at intrinsic motivation that people have. What really motivates me to come to emerging markets, or to any other market, or to make a move even in my career. And this is if you find the right balance between people's intrinsic motivation versus extrinsic motivation, you will have really a strong team, loyal, and you can retain them.
Well, that's a whole nother topic. How do you attract top talent into those markets? Any tips there as well? It's always a challenge.
One of the statistics was run by Mercer. It says 73% of companies, they have businesses, or they are establishing businesses in emerging markets. Now, these companies, they face challenges, different challenges, I would say, but the most common ones when it comes first to expats, how to attract them first. And the second, what kind of reward system that I'm going to have in order to attract the right talent. Attracting the right talent, it can has different forms. I will give you an example from JTI as well. We have talent to value, which is we have a pool of talents where you have your mobility, you address your mobility. For example, I'm open to move to that region. And then, of course, we start assessing the skills and, of course, achievements and the experience record, etc. And once we find match, of course, they go through a process. First, it's important to have the pool of talents within the organization internally.
And a mechanism to show that the people are open to making that move. So you can actively say, I am open to move, these opportunities. Yeah.
Open and interested. In fact, during the process, I would say the most important questions that leaders need to ask is like, what motivates you to go? And from that question, then you start looking at people's progress. You can assess even if they fit this journey or not. And here where it comes, where you find the balance between intrinsic rewards, I would say, and extrinsic rewards within the people. I mean, just to continue on the first point, one of the challenges they face is even establishing a competitive attraction and retention policies for these talents. And when we are talking about, let me talk a bit about the extrinsic motivation, for example. It's not only monetary motivation or rewards. It even goes to achievements, to special achievement awards, or it goes to their benefits in terms of of course, people, they are worried first about their basic things, health insurance, schooling, accommodation, etc. These things, it has to be clear, it has to be addressed, it has to be well known and well understood by both parties. The second part is attracting the right talent. And now when I say the right talent, you might have some talents who are really good. They have, I would say, in terms of experience, they have the right experience, they have the right skills, but they don't have the right mindset. What I mean by the right mindset, I
said the same thing to you, as I said I couldn't do it. Remember? Do I have to, in my role, background in sales, I had a number of those opportunities come up, and I didn't have the right mindset. I had the skills to do the sales, had the skill to lead a team and build, but the idea of being away from my family and friends and some of the other things, and obviously my anxiety that I suffer from, I just couldn't do it. I didn't have the right mindset. So I can completely relate to that.
Yeah, exactly. This is exactly, I will describe it as a mistake. If you only focus on the rewards or on the money aspect of your assignment, because many studies shows that people with intrinsic motivation, they can continue and they can complete the assignment and achieve more. They are highly achievers than people who are attracted by extrinsic rewards. Really about leadership. They need to work and address these issues before, or these aspects, I would say, of the assignments before they proceed with the recruitment or with the attracting.
Do you think that the assignments that you've been on, it's a certain amount of time in your career that you can continue to do that before it gets to a point where it's too much? Or there are some people that are just built to work in those environments and continue to flourish? Yeah.
Well, Chris, I've seen many of my colleagues, at least, who have done this for a long time, for the whole career. Again, with them, I really believe they have the right intrinsic motivation that really keeps them going. For me, maybe the big lesson I would say I came out of this is to have, wherever I go, I should have my family with me. It's really important, because the family is important for your life. Of course, I can't. Yeah, it's because it's challenging for both for you and for your family as well. So this is one of the things that I will take into consideration for my next assignment. Indeed,
right. It will change given as you progress and you have a family. They can change. Your priorities will change, but I'm sure there are other people that, as you said, your colleagues that thrive in that environment. It may be they love seeing new parts of the world, and if they get to see new parts of the world and visit different cultures and environments, and they can do that and combine that with their career and their job, it seems like a match made in heaven.
Exactly. Actually, I had many conversations with my colleagues who had been out there for a really long time in their careers. And they told me, specifically when they are talking about their kids, they found them. They are more international. They are like kind of citizens of the world. And
I've heard about that. Yeah.
yeah, and these kids, they have this extraordinary experience where they can first they can speak many languages. They have friends all over the world. It's gonna help them even to grow when they start their careers. On the other side, the downside of it is that some of them find that their kids lost their identity.
There's stability, right? That's always been my concern. If I ever were to take that type of the stability of sort of setting some roots somewhere and then picking them up. And once that kid's settled into the school or just build some friends, and then you're off somewhere else, and then you kind of start all over again. But on the other hand, I've heard the huge positives that you've spoken about from many of your peers to talk about how resilient their children are and how well-rounded, because they've kind of been exposed to different cultures and they've got a real global view of the world, a real understanding of being in countries where there's poverty and they can see it versus other countries they come much more well-rounded and resilient. Yes. What about in terms of leadership styles, right? Have you had to adapt your leadership style in different regions that you've worked in, given the local market and the culture? And how have you found that?
I will give you an example. I used to work in Malaysia, for example. There, the culture was totally new to me, and at the beginning, I didn't know. I had to adapt my style. Okay, what really motivates people versus what really hurts people. So, for example, sometimes some people, if you push them too hard, they don't achieve. They just break and they quit. On the other, in other markets, you need to push them in order to achieve, and they like it. You need to find this balance, and this balance it's not easy to find because it depends on too many aspects. Nevertheless, leaders has to be agile, forward thinkers. First, they need to listen. And really, this is the most important skill, in my opinion. First, listen, have an open mind, and then you can adjust your leadership style based on it.
What does the first few weeks look like when you enter a new market and a new role? I'm sure there's a process that you have. Like, what does the first 30, 90 days look like?
It's hectic, Chris. It's really challenging. First, you don't know anything in the country. You don't know where to eat, what to eat, where you bring your groceries. You lose your. And thank God for Google Maps, huh? Yeah. And then you start experiencing new things. Like sometimes you will have a power cut. Sometimes you might have water leakage. Maybe the weather is totally new also to you. So you have to adjust to all these new things. This is one of the really most basic stuffs. And then in the organization itself, you are totally new. You don't know the dynamics, but you start to find your way bit by bit. You start to maneuver between people, and then to understand what's the right actions to be taking when, and you observe information and then you reflect. But first 90 days, it's really, I would say, the most challenging. I would say it starts, I would say, as the most challenging, because again, it's where you find yourself, you find your balance in these 90 days, whether professionally or personally.
Yeah. Do you have a process internally? So, for example, when you enter a business, do you have a process that you're like, I've just started in this new, whether it's building this function or an integration, do you have a process that you found that works? So, for example, or do you say, okay, for the next, few months, I'm going to sit down with all of the core business leaders one-on-one, understand them in their individual motivators, where we are, what we're going, what's important to them is just me throwing it out there as an example, and then work from there. What are some of the lessons that you've learned of what to do and what not to do? In those first 2 days.
Now, first, you should have a plan for your onboarding, because of course the organization itself will onboard you, but you should have a plan as
before you even get there, obviously.
Yeah. First, you should understand what's required from you. What's your objectives? What's the purpose of this assignment? And this is where you have a one-to-one meeting with your line manager, and then you have to understand and to have a chat with your colleagues or peers first. Your peers also understand what they are expecting from you, and you tell them, okay, what you expect from them, and you set the scene for or the context for the following period. And your team, of course, it's you at the beginning, you sit with them. Okay, what are the challenges? You understand what they are doing and why they are doing this, and then what can be done better, and then to give them the chance and the opportunity to give you everything, all challenges that they are facing, and even come up with a solution first, and then you start helping them and to build this relationship. So the plan for, I would say, in the organization, the onboarding, it has to be first. It's about human first. It's not about processes. It's about human. It's about people, actually. So knowing your stakeholders, it's really important, because at the end of the day, Chris, you can find it people who doesn't know the purpose of their assignments, and believe me, sometimes people, they go to assignments and, okay, what's required from me? Maybe they didn't ask enough, maybe they didn't have the clear directions, and that leads to bigger frustration. And on top of it, then you come up with, then you have the new countries challenges, etc., etc. So to have clear purpose of your assignment is really important. Chat, like friendly chat with people. One thing that I found common between all markets I've been to is that people appreciate you if you go and talk to them on friendly basis. Just friendly chat, and then you can start build your relationship with them accordingly.
Yeah, that's something I hear from so many of your peers. Before making any particular changes or anything, is spending the first few weeks, even of months, is building rapport, building relationships with the various stakeholders and the leaders, and then work from that foundation onwards. Otherwise, if there's, it's very difficult, right, to make change when you don't have that type of dynamic in place. And through those conversations, you will start to understand their intrinsic motivators, like you discussed, and what they value and what some of their challenges are, and then you can work towards that brief. Looking back, would you do it all over again?
It's not for everyone, indeed. Again, it's about what really motivates you, what's really your purpose, why you have to understand as an individual why you are doing this. Actually, it's really important for you to understand why you are.
Start with the why, right? Start with the why.
Start with the why, and then if yes, what's the consequences? Okay, what's the pros and cons? This is it has to be clear from the beginning.
And involve your family in that conversation from early on.
Of course.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, your family, even your friends, you discuss, because everyone looks at it from different angle, and it's really important when you are going to a new assignment is to understand everything around this assignment. Even I found it very helpful if you talk to people who have been in this place and in that place. If you find people, other expats or other colleagues who has been in that country, talk to them, ask them, okay, what are the challenges, what are the benefits of being there, and then you take it from there. This is the first part of it. So you should have the right motivation, the right purpose, and the right understanding of your assignment. The second part is that personally, I think for me, I would do it again, but again with my family. It's really important to have them with me. Of course, you discuss with them first and understand, okay, maybe they don't like to join, so this is where you have to find another balance. So it's really important, as you mentioned, to involve the stakeholders, or I would say your family, your friends, and then to understand these aspects of your assignment. Chris, when you look at it, it's difficult not only for you as an expat, it's even difficult for local people as well, because many companies, they fall into trap where they have equity issue between locals and expats. It can hurt the organization as well. Mm-hmm. So these, I would say, fine lines between what's right and what's, I would say, wrong or doesn't fit the organization it has to be also addressed. There are many aspects you have to consider when you move to assignment in terms of as an organization and as an individual. For me, the most important, again, it's the mindset. I cannot stress enough on this important factor. Yes, you have to have the right mindset, and as a leader, you should find people with the right mentality and with the right mindset. Sometimes people, if they love what they are doing, if they truly believe in their work and in their mission, sky's the limit. They will
succeed anywhere.
Yes,
They
yes.
are. So the more work you can do up front, the better, right?
Yes, exactly.
And the more that you can manage expectations and communicate clearly that this is what the reality is going to look like over there as well.
Exactly.
And to be honest, that's one of the reasons I wanted you on the show today is that I've spoke to some of your peers who've had quite a negative experience because the expectations wasn't managed, it wasn't communicated clearly enough, and unfortunately it didn't work out. But for you, obviously, it worked out very well in some parts, of course, not so much the last 5-6 months, but that's obviously out of your control. And to the point where you mentioned in terms of the talent, one of the things I know you're passionate about, you and the team at JTI, is building that local talent, right, and developing those leaders. It takes time, yes. And you mentioned to this before that one of the reasons why you've been sent to these locations is to build a leadership team from the local talent within. But that takes how long? 4 or 5 years plus to be able to establish a team. What do you see a typical timeline that it typically takes based on your experience?
When you look at statistics, almost 59 of international companies, they found it challenging, or they faced challenges in the availability of talents with the right technical skills in these emerging markets. And this is really important factor that they need to look at it. And the markets you go to, it's competitive because you will compete with local companies who are, in my opinion, they have the one step ahead on you. They know the market first, and they know the talents, and they are more agile than international companies. Because again, if you want to build something in an international company, you need to go through a lot of processes. But for locals, it's going to be easy because you have one leader who can decide about the directions of the company, which is really sometimes it's really beneficial. Yes. Now, in terms of timeline, I think 3 to 5 years. I found it, like, realistically speaking, I found a reasonable time to grow the talent there, and to attract the right talent, and to train them new ways of working. But the other important factor is you need to understand how to retain these talents. Chris, just a small example. In Sudan, Venezuela, Iran, these countries are, for example, they face hyperinflation, for example, huge currency deterioration. So if you as an organization didn't do your homework correctly and being proactive rather than reactive, you will lose your talents for sure, because local companies will start to compete on those talents, and then you will find yourself losing the best talents you have in the organization. So this is one and these are the countries I know about. I know many countries they face similar issues.
Mm-hmm.
So attracting talents, it's important, but retaining them, it's really even more important than that. And again, I'm a big fan of this intrinsic motivation and extrinsic motivation, and finding the right balance, because it can summarize, I would say, the right approach for people and culture, or human resources department in many companies. Chris, one of the examples I would say we have in JTI, we have thank you card. It doesn't have any value, like money value, I would say. No, just saying you as an employee, anyone can thank anyone. And if you can thank your boss, you can thank your colleague, you can thank even someone from different country. How nice is that? And it's really motivating when you see people they appreciate your job. We have even another program called Inspire. People can nominate someone they consider him as or her as inspiring. They inspire them to do something. These kind of rewards, I would say, it's important to build within the company's culture in emerging markets as well as in developing markets. But in emerging markets, you can find the results or the outcomes from these programs, it's much higher than I believe it's much higher than developed markets.
It means a lot.
Yes,
that simple gesture means so much, and that's the difference between someone staying engaged and feeling valued, and they feel like what they're doing is having an impact both internally and externally. It's being recognized as well, and it doesn't cost a lot of money to do these things.
No.
The fact that you put those mechanisms and those tools in place for people to do that across regions, across the globe is fantastic to have that in place. But I'm conscious of time, Iyas, so I don't want to keep you forever. I'll let you get the rest of your evening. But before we wrap up, if there's sort of one parting advice you could give to anyone considering taking on, an expat role or a leadership role in an emerging market, what would that be? If there's one thing that people should focus on, and then where's the best place for people to connect with you if they want to reach out and say hello and maybe ask for some more advice?
By all means, of course, I'm happy to help anyone who needs an advice. Most important, I would say, advice I would give them is do your homework properly before you move to anywhere. It's important to do that homework. Ask about the assignment, the purpose, involve your family and beloved ones, and then take risks. Actually, it's really good to take risks. It's nice, in my opinion, exploring the world, exploring different markets and unique markets. It's really enriching.
Fantastic. Well, look, thanks again for taking the time out to join us. We'll definitely have to, hopefully get to see you face to face soon after you spend some much deserved time with the family. I'm assuming you're going to take a few weeks off when you get back.
Yeah, we'll do.
I'm sure. Yeah. Enjoy the time with the little one, cherish those moments. And I'll speak to you again soon, but I appreciate you taking the time out to share your experience and your journey with everyone as well.
Thing.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you, Chris. See you.
Bye.
Bye.